Are you dropping Jalen Reagor if you have him still? Are you giving up hope at this point?
Probably, because, I mean, if you're talking like your standard 12-team league, like there's so many guys right now at the wide receiver position that are attractive. Like I would rather go with the production, bird in hand.
Well, I'm saying this is good. This is good because I'm going to another game and I'll start with a player on that team, even though that's not the highest level of takeaway from that game. Let's go back to the Saints game. Would you drop Jalen Reagor for Kadarius Toney?
Yeah, because listen, like, are you feeling like Jalen Reagor is at his best is winning you fantasy games week in and week out? Like I feel like this is like, why not? It's such low hanging, it's such low impact right here. You might as well go with somebody who's making a positive impact in the moment instead of waiting for somebody who might help you at times, and is in a bad situation. So yeah, Kadarius Toney in his first meaningful game, 9 targets, 84 yards, is a guy that, can do some Percy Harvin-ish stuff where sometimes he might add on some rushing stuff and they can move him around. Yeah, he's interesting to me. And, Daniel Jones. This is the year of Daniel Jones, apparently. You just want to be in Daniel Jones' orbit this year. That's what it's all about. For
fantasy purposes, yeah. I mean, that's really Daniel Jones QB1. Just like, so part of the reason I put him in the dumpster dive article was I referenced what you just kind of alluded to, is that last year everybody was drafting him as a fringe QB1, not even so much because of his passing acumen, but because he was going to run for 500 or 600 yards. And he's a dual threat to a degree. Let's go back 10 years. The definition of dual threat is Daniel Jones. Like, he's not dual threat of the Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, but 10 years ago, we're like, oh my God, he's one of the best dual threats in the league.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's like, and he had 26 rushing yards. That's kind of becoming his floor, like
chipping in a half touchdown.
Yeah. And he can, when we see he can get you push 100 yards on good days, but like 26, a half touchdown going in. Take that, absolutely. So,
all right. So that being said, is Kenny Golladay back? Is he finally back? It just took some time.
I mean, Sterling Shepard was out, Darius Slayton was out. He was kind of forced. You got Kadarius Toney, who's a rookie, very inexperienced. Of course, Kenny Golladay is going to show up. But
of course,
well, not of course, but yeah. No, this is to the point that speaks well of the Giants. They went on the road against a good defense and put up production. Like that bodes well for Daniel Jones. And by the way, like Saquon again. It's
I was just about to get onto that, so let me pause real quick because I'm about to come after somebody in the chat. Just so heads up. So, the Kadarius Toney thing, I'm intrigued in. The waiver column will be out tomorrow, actually tonight at midnight on The Athletic, if everybody check that out. But yeah, I say Toney maybe-ish. I was actually surprised Colin Johnson
what
got
happens
kicked.
when all these guys are coming?
Well, Colin Johnson got kicked to 5th. I was shocked. I immediately didn't think that was going to happen at all. He showed up well, and again, they got hurt in that game, but you would say, hey, he replaces Slayton. He got kicked to 5th, and John Ross is out there. Toney situation.
I love John Ross.
The thing that Toney, the concern, like, I like Toney until both are back. Like, if Shepard and Slayton are both back, he's just not going to play over them. But if Shepard's only back, I'm actually concerned about Shepard because they're going to push him outside, like last year. But if Slayton's back and Shepard's not, Toney just keeps his role either way. So that all being said is the Barkley value probably at its peak after the New Orleans game. Would he fetch top running back value? He didn't peak. Get the hell out of here. This is exactly what we wanted for Saquon Barkley. He's back. Like, Saquon Barkley is not a peak top 5. He's a peak top 3 running back. He is the one person that eclipsed Christian McCaffrey on a per touch or a per game basis 2 years ago, rookie seasons, but he barely outscored Christian McCaffrey on a per game basis. He is in the conversation. Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, I guess we can't even stop that you're going to use him in the passing game. Saquon Barkley, end of conversation in that tier, not peak. He's back. Like, sorry, Jiggles, but no.
Ezekiel Elliott, is he in that tier?
I would start same thing in preseason. I start him in the next tier. That was the Alvin Kamara and Ezekiel start the next group for me.
Now Kamara, right? Like he was in the top group. Or
no, Kamara was in a tier of his own for me.
Okay.
For me, preseason was Cook, McCaffrey, and Henry, and then I said Kamara on his own in an island, and then start the next group with Zeke. And then Saquon was in that group, but I said Saquon because October, 100%. I called it. Boom. I should run around the room. I should just do laps and cartwheels and stuff, like go grab Barkley, but she's sleeping over there and just looking at me because I'm yelling a lot about Barkley. She probably thinks she did something wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we all thought that it would take a little while, coming back from ACL. It's funny how, a lot of the reporting for that was right on that. We were upset with a lot of the preseason reporting on a lot of things, but there was a lot of people that were like, look at Saquon Barkley is not going to be full Saquon Barkley. And some people were saying until October. I actually think, it's been faster than I've heard a lot of people try to throw out.
The last week of September, it's week 4. This is 4 games. That's what we hit.
I was hearing people say that, you're not going to get full Saquon until October. And he's been full Saquon the last 2 weeks. So it was only a 2-week kind of hiatus.
No, I saw, full October. I saw some people say until 2022. Like that, it's just going to be like you might get 80, 90% of him for the rest of the season. And that was, by the way, Dan Dugan, I mentioned this on the other show. I just want to keep throwing it out here because it's a shocking number even to me. Dan Dugan tweeted this out yesterday. That was Barkley's second fumble of his career.
Wow. That's crazy.
Isn't it?
Crazy. Yeah.
Second of his career. And he said he doesn't know what happened. It just squirted out of his hands. So that's let's talk some more running backs. I thought you might go this way because the one that I think everybody has at least inside their top 3 of takeaways from week 4 is Cordero effing Patterson. And I say that with like the here. I want to see if you agree. So I'm not going to go full in depth in case people are coming over from the other show as I recommended. But I said Cordero Patterson, if you learn nothing else from the first 2 weeks of Rondell Moore, that's what we're doing. Yes, they find ways every single week to get him the ball. Was almost a third of the snaps. They had over 70 snaps. He was out there for 25. He can't be producing this level every single week. His touchdown rate is like 20%, Funston. What are you doing with Cordero Patterson?
Well, here's the problem. Like, how do you keep him off the field? Like, it wasn't like he just got like these average touchdowns.
That's the same thing people said about Rondell in the first 2 games. How do we keep him off the field?
Well, I said that too. I'm guilty of that. But, look at the one touchdown. He high pointed the ball and didn't even bring it down to his body. He just held it up there and secured it with his hands. It was like a corner, alley oop. The other one, he totally juked the guy. I mean, he's a weapon in the red zone. I think that's going to continue no matter what. They get in the red zone, they want Cordero Patterson out there. I think he's going to be a guy that if he doesn't score a touchdown, there's going to be weeks where he's going to give you next to nothing. But I think he's kind. Yeah, I think he's a better version of James White in terms of fantasy for sure. But the red zone role, it's just going to continue because I think he is. Yeah, I mean, first of all, because he's going to run the ball typically more than James White would. I mean, I know.
Yeah, but it's about the same amount of touches. Is what I'm going with here. It's the same amount of touches, and James White's were all coming in.
How many catches did he have yesterday? It was like 7 or something, or 8. I mean,
for Patterson.
Let's see. He had 5 catches. So, yeah, he's went 5, 6, 5, and he's carried basically an average of about 7 times per week. So he's getting right around a dozen touches per week. I feel like James White's more like your
and James White had 6 through the first 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, he's a better touchdown scorer than James White.
No, but that's my point. So James White first week 6 for 49 and 4 for 12 in the game, 9.1. Second week 6, 5 for 20 in the run game. 15.5 because he scored a touchdown.
Well, I think I ranked him like RB30 this week. That's where I'm going to be most weeks, and that's like a better version of James White because James White I typically throw in like my mid-30s at RB, kind of like as a back-end RB3.
So that's where I want to say, is that fair, though? But because the reason we have James White where we had James White is because any given week could be those 7 touches for 30 yards. How is that much different? I'm generally asking, how is that much different than Cordero Patterson if he doesn't score a touchdown?
Because there's more touchdown upside with Cordero Patterson. Like there is. Like they're looking for ways to use.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong to say that. I'm just curious.
That's why I give him a higher bump. I'm not giving him I'm giving him like a half of a RB tier bump, like from mid RB3 to top, towards the top of the RB3 class. I don't see myself ever putting him in the top 25, but I see myself some weeks, I'm probably going to be living in that late 20s to early 30s range with him.